My name is Molly Baker. I'm the Adult Programs Manager here at the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. And thanks for being with us this morning. I'd like to begin by recognizing the lands of the Pueblo people on which the sites of the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum stand. We recognize and honor their elders, past and present, and celebrate the vitality of their people today and into future generations. I offer this with humility and gratitude in acknowledgement of the need to confront the ongoing injustices of settler colonialism. I would also like to extend a thank you to our members and donors who are here today, because without you, programming like this is not possible. If you're not yet a member and you enjoy programs like this, we do hope that you'll consider joining. To learn more, you can visit our website at gokm.org/membership to learn more. Today's presentation focuses on the Art and Leadership Program, which has generous support from several special sources. So we'd like to also extend a special thank you to those people today. Please join us in showing appreciation for Diane Buchanan and Rick Andrew and the Andrew Family Foundation, Century Bank, Sheila Fortune Foundation, Don and Kathy Humphreys and the Humphreys Family Foundation, and the Kappa Delta Foundation for their continued support of this program. Throughout this talk, please place your questions in the Q&A box, which can be found at the bottom or the top of your screen, depending on your device. We'll try to answer as many as we can at the end of the conversation. For the duration of the lecture, you will notice that the chat feature has been disabled. Following today's talk, a recording of this program will be made available on our website in a week or two's time. Captions in both English and Spanish will be available. So without any further delay, I'm so pleased to welcome today's speakers. We have Anna Samson and Veronica Zavala. These two wonderful people were program leads for the Art and Leadership Program this summer, and both have relationships to the program that has lasted multiple summers, which you'll actually learn a little bit more about later. But before we turn things over to Veronica and Anna, I want to first introduce Grace Almanza, who's going to share about the history of the A&L program and give us some context about how it operates and how it became the program it is today. Grace works with the Learning and Engagement Department as the School and Tour Programs Manager, but she also innovates and oversees some incredible family programming at the museum. And she also manages and oversees the A&L program every summer, which you'll soon see requires a lot of work and dedication. So thank you, Grace, and thank you for sharing a little bit about the program with us this morning.
Thanks, Molly. Hello. Thanks so much for the opportunity of talking about giving Art and Leadership a bit of the highlight during Mornings with O'Keeffe. We're honored to be here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just get our presentation started. So the O'Keeffe Art and Leadership Program is sort of the flagship middle school summer art program here at the O'Keeffe Museum. It was started in 1998, so we are in its 26th year right now, and has seen lots of history, lots of different creative minds and passionate management and interns and program leads, which used to be called site coordinators. So if you've been in Santa Fe a long time, you may have heard about the program over the years. So going into our first slide, I just wanted to share a bit more about the beginnings of the program. Included here are some photographs on the left of the boys and girls groups in 2003. Art and Leadership was originally started, like I said, in 1998 with seed money from El Paso Energy Foundation. And it originally started only as a girls program. Eventually in 2002, a boys program was launched, both with more or less similar objectives. The girls program was focusing on creativity and self-expression, independent thinking, while the boys program, while also taking those factors, was providing a safe space for young boys to explore their own self-expression without this lens of like hyper or toxic masculinity. So maybe doing away with these gender norms in both girls and boys program and focusing on self-expression through the visual arts. So In the past and now, the program begins with a week-long intensive summer experience. And sorry, let me correct myself. What I'm reading here is only from the 2003 program description. So this is how it operated in 2003. It started with a week-long intensive summer experience, which included the day camp here in Santa Fe. The camp usually operated off-site from the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, so it would rent other locations around town, and eventually would also include an overnight stay in Ghost Ranch. So participants would, travel up there, do lots of hiking, lots of art activities, lots of bonding activities, and then stay overnight. At the end of the summer, it would culminate in an end of summer art exhibition with the participants' work. And another unique factor of the program in 2003 is that it would continue on through the academic year. So participants were actually invited back about maybe once a month for field trips to cultural institutions or overnight activities as well. One more aspect about the program as well is that a big draw of it was to include local professional teaching artists from Santa Fe who were working artists that could also serve as role models. When it was just a girls program, these artists were typically women. So they were working women artists here in Santa Fe that girls could learn about their career, learn how they got to where they are, and maybe learn a new medium during their teaching artist workshop. So continuing on, a little bit more of the history behind art and leadership. There's another photograph on the left of a closing circle in 2003. And it's so wonderful going through the archives that we have here at the Research Center and looking through all of the history of the program and what remains the same. We still do an opening and closing circle to this day, and it's really special. So originally, it was launched by the, at the time, Director of Education, Jackie M. Jackie had a background in art education, and she had previously directed a gender program for low-income girls. She also served on the New Mexico Arts Task Force on art education. It was really created in response to an impactful study by the American Association of University Women that found that girls' test scores and self-esteem dropped significantly at puberty. In relation to Santa Fe, the educators working here at the museum at the time also noticed that there was a significant gap in arts education between elementary and high school, meaning that, we studied art in elementary and we kind of returned to it in high school, but in middle school, it wasn't offered as something significant or important. So all these factors came in developing the Art and Leadership program. In order to uplift young girls, allow them to communicate through the visual arts, help their identity and self-esteem, and etc. So in addition to beginning the middle school program, the program for middle school girls, Jackie M. also established the use and hiring of high school and college level interns who, through their own experience, their own passion for the arts, whatever the field may be, maybe it was music, theater, visual arts, they acted as additional positive role models for the younger participants. So some of these factors are similar now. Today, we're here about 26 years later. We're also operating Art and Leadership post-pandemic because it did receive a bit of a blow during that time in terms of attendance and how the program is organized. So while some factors are different, for example, we currently don't do the overnight trip, but we still visit Ghost Ranch. Others remain the same. We still have our closing circles. We still really focus on the core objectives of the program. So I'll go to the next slide and talk a little bit about how it works today in 2024 and for the last 4 or so summers. So the objectives of the program have remained the same. We aim to serve kids, middle school students that demonstrate that art is core to their existence. So this idea of self-expression through creation, through making, is intrinsically a part of them. And this is something that extends to even how Georgia O'Keeffe, her art practice and how she created. We also encourage creative freedom in order to build self-confidence. So giving students a space to express themselves in how they feel comfortable doing so. We're never going to tell them, no, you can't do it this way. You have to do it this way. We're always going to give them that creative freedom so they can make their own decisions as a young artist and build up their self-confidence that way. And we actually do see it occur as students come back, because this is a 3-year program. So it begins the summer after 5th grade. They come back, 6th grade, 7th grade, up until they graduate 8th grade. We see that change in confidence in their art skills and who they are as a young teen, coming into life. And it's really wonderful to get to experience. The other part of the program is fostering independent thinking and leadership skills while providing a secure base for self-expression. So just more of that encouragement, that safe space that we want to provide these kids that maybe they don't see, in their own schools, or they don't feel comfortable expressing at home, because middle school is such a formative and also strange, embarrassing time to navigate. You're realizing so much about yourself, about the world around you. So we want to be helping kids along this journey in thinking independently and learning how to be a leader themselves. So here we are at this point now. We still have local Santa Fe teaching artists. We as well have our internship program. Typically since 2021, we have 6 art and leadership interns. And the internship program is unique in of itself because they don't just act as supervisors or helping us clean up after the kids, etc. The interns are here to learn as well. This time around, we do only college level interns at the moment, and we give them this opportunity for those who are interested in arts education, teaching, working with kids, art therapy, all of these, art history, even all of these kind of majors that fit into this program and to what it means. So the interns are able to come, learn how to facilitate their own lesson plans, learn how to make a lesson outlines, learn how to interact with children, and gain experience from this program. In a similar way, the students, the young artists, are here to learn, so are the interns. So we're kind of teaching at 2 levels, with the middle school students and the college level students. I don't believe I missed anything. So I may turn it over to Molly and give some time for Anna and Veronica to talk to us about what they did this summer, what the program means to them.
Thank you so much, Grace. And just to hear you speak about this program and to spend time with you as a colleague, it's so clear how much you care about this program and all the work you put into it. So on behalf of everyone who is impacted by this, just thank you so much for what you do. And there's another thing I would just want to make sure that we emphasize a little bit, and to confirm that this program is at no cost to the families that participate. Is that the case?
Sorry, I lost my mute button, my unmute button, and it got a little confusing there for a second. I'll bring up the slide after I answer the question, but yes, thank you so much for that reminder. There's so much information to go through, so much that goes into this program. But yes, it is offered at no cost. It's free to apply, it's free to attend. We provide a variety of art materials, from oil pastels to sketchbooks to pencils, like everything you can think of that you need to make art. Field trips are free, lunches are free, and we just try to really uplift students who wouldn't have the financial means to have this opportunity, especially here in Santa Fe. So it's really important for us to serve New Mexico kids at no cost, like you said, thanks to our wonderful sponsors that you mentioned earlier.
That's just incredible. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing some context about the program, how it came to be, how it operates today. And it's the perfect time to segue to the two program leads who led this program this summer. Both Anna and Veronica have unique connections to art and leadership, and we're going to learn more about that from each of them. They're going to speak a little bit about themselves and their personal experiences this summer. So I will go ahead and I believe start with Anna is up first. Thank you both so much. We're so looking forward to hearing more from each of you.
Thank you, Molly. As Molly said, I am Anna Samson. I am a recent graduate of Georgia College and State University. And at the beginning of my college career, I joined a sorority. I pledged Kappa Delta, the Eta Mu chapter, and a lot of people don't know this, but Georgia O'Keeffe was a Kappa Delta. So she pledged Kappa Delta at Chatham Episcopal Institute in 1902. And every year, the Kappa Delta Foundation sponsors 2 interns to come to Santa Fe and work in the Art and Leadership Department at the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. So yes, last year I was an intern in 2023. Some of my intern responsibilities were facilitating like day-to-day activities such as check in and check out. I acted as a role model to the students. That's pretty much the most important part of being an art and leadership intern is just being there for the kids, encouraging them to make connections with each other, and to just make friendships with them. And just to create a safe space where every student can feel like they can express themselves freely. I assisted the program lead in day-to-day activities. I picked up lunches for the kids. And I taught an intern lesson. So the top right image on this slide is a part of my intern lesson. We did a Basquiat inspired like figure drawing activity where I had all of the kids line up and choose a partner. And one partner posed and the other partner sketched. And we did this multiple times, rotated back and forth. We changed spaces on the paper and just filled up the paper. And we learned a lot about rhythm and movement and how you could portray rhythm and movement on like a 2-dimensional still picture using lines and gestures. So that was a really fun activity. Through that, I also was the co-editor-in-chief of the Art and Leadership zine. So the zine acts kind of as like a yearbook for the students. So we document a bunch of artwork that they've made, take a lot of photos over the summer, and kind of compile that all into a magazine, which every kid gets to take home with them. But really, my job as an intern was just to make the kids feel like they were welcomed and encourage them to be the wonderful artists that they are. And I loved the summer so much last year that I decided to apply as a program lead this year. So these are some photos from this year during my time as a program lead. So being an intern was vastly different than being a program lead. I did not see that coming initially at the beginning of the summer, but I adapted very quickly and I learned to love it so much. So a couple of my responsibilities were I developed the entire schedule. It's so we saw the kids for 2 weeks at a time, and I would have about 18 to 23 kids in each class. So it was me, and then I had 3 interns assisting me. But that's a lot of kids. That's a lot of kids to keep entertained for 8 hours a day for 2 weeks. But I developed the daily schedules for them. I made lesson plans that fit within the art and leadership curriculum. I learned how to facilitate lessons as well as like write lesson outlines. I supervised the interns in the classroom, so just helping them stay on track and helping them develop their own lesson plans and how to kind of get the messages that they wanted to teach spread across and digestible to the middle schoolers. Every morning we did a do now artist. So we would, during check-in, the kids would come in, find their seat, and on the projector there would be an image by an artist that they would be learning about later during that day. So I would have them sketch out the image, and then we would talk about it. I would teach about that artist, and then we would make art inspired by them. So in the top right, that was actually inspired by the first day of classes, Georgia O'Keeffe abstraction lesson. We did many other artists as well. Some notable ones were the Banksy lesson, where I had them make art as a tool for social change. We did a lesson on Keith Haring and just using rhythm and movement in art. I did a Louise Nevelson lesson, and she was an artist based in Manhattan who used found objects to make big assemblages. So I did a lesson with them where the students gathered objects and made three-dimensional sculptures out of them. Like I said, it was a lot different. I was a lot more in charge, of course, this year than I was last year. I was always answering questions from both the interns and the participants. I acted as a liaison between the students and the interns and Grace and other members of the learning engagement department. I really had to learn how to problem solve during the first day of work. I remember that I just felt like some kids could really get a lesson done or get an assignment done super quickly when others would need maybe an hour and a half to do it. So just finding ways to like fill that time and keep everyone busy was definitely a challenge, but I learned how to do that and how to do it well, which is, I'm very thankful to have learned how to do that. I've learned how to respond and react when emergencies happen. I don't know, we're dealing with 25 kids, so sometimes kids fall down, get hurt, but learning how to kind of manage a group of young people during those situations and keeping everybody calm has been really rewarding despite how bad circumstances can be. I also really learned how to think critically of myself and how to keep improving and making my lessons better, how to make them cater to all levels. I was with the returners, so second and third year students, and that age ranges between 11 to 14. So this is a lot of different skill levels that I was working with, and learning how to teach lessons that could cater to a variety of skill levels was really important, but I did achieve that. And just also learning how to manage behavior. These are middle school students, and they're so fun and they love to hang out with each other and talk and run around. And just managing everyone and keeping eyes on everyone was a challenge, but I feel like it was very successful in the end. I think everyone had so much fun, and I don't know, like it just goes to show these kids come 3 years in a row. And I remember I taught a lot of the same students this year that I did last year, and just seeing them like so excited to come back is really amazing and inspiring. And these kids just have such a passion for art, and they really do, like, it really is the core of their existence. What I love about this program is it allows kids to find a community of artists within their own community. And especially like Molly and Grace were saying, the gap between elementary and high school, the lack of art in middle school, it's really important to have programs like this, and just to allow students to express themselves that way when it's not always accessible to them.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Anna. Oh my gosh, what a full summer you had, clearly. So now let's hear from Veronica. Veronica, will you mind sharing what your experience was like this summer?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Veronica. I'm Santa Fe local, born and raised. I actually was a participant in 2010 to 2014 of the Georgia O'Keeffe Art and Leadership Program for girls. It was such a wonderful experience. It was so amazing. Um, I I don't know, it really kind of changed my whole perspective of what it means to like be an artist and to experience leadership and forming bonds with girls who I would never have like seen out in the streets. Like it was a very much kind of like a growing up experience. It shaped a lot of who I am. Um, kind of I saw the program as this wonderful opportunity to get experience in the real world. And so when I graduated from the program in 2014, I decided that I wanted to apply for the high school internship. I didn't get it in high school. And so then I wanted to apply for the college internship, and I also didn't get that part. And so I just graduated from the Adams State University. And so I came back to Santa Fe. I saw the application and I was like, third time's the charm. And so I got the position for Art and Leadership Program Lead. And my experience was pretty similar to Anna's. It it required a lot of focusing children, bringing them back together. It was very, very difficult to get their attention. But it was also really, really fun. I got to kind of individually know each student. And so one of the biggest things is to kind of see where everybody is in their art. And some of the students were less knowledgeable of art, and some students were really advanced. And that was kind of the biggest part, was kind of getting everybody to the same page so that we could all talk about it, talk about art, express our art in our own individual ways. And so in the far right corner, or far right side, is a piece of one of my students. And so I gave them a prompt to think of their favorite fruit and their favorite animal. And so this student made an axolotl and an avocado. And so I saw so many different like interpretations of animals. I had strawberry foxes, I had like tomato frogs. It was very creative. And just to see how all of these students were able to kind of take this very small prompt and create their, individual pieces in their own style was very fascinating. Yeah, and some of these kids, were it was very difficult for them at first. I had some students who came in who were, really quiet, really shy, and very like they were scared pretty much. And then by the end of it, they had found their friends. I had in each group, I had three groups that actively said that they found their people, that they were, you know, that they never thought that they could find people that shared the same interests, that were so similar to them. And it's really, really amazing to see those kinds of things happen at such a young age, because transitioning from middle school or from elementary school to middle school, you're going into a whole new school, a whole new world, where nobody knows each other, and some people do. So you can get, isolated, and you go through a lot of struggles in middle school. But when you go through a program like this, you are able to kind of look forward to meeting new people, and you learn how to make new friends, which is really amazing.
Thank you, Veronica, for sharing, and to have your perspective as a student who actually participated in the program and experienced those things firsthand, and then to become a program lead later on. It's so great to hear how that had an influence on you. Thank you for sharing. And something we definitely want to make sure that we get to today is what happens at the end of the program. So at the end of the summer, all of the work that you both have done as program leads, all the work that the interns have done, and all the physical artwork that the students have made are put together in a formal art exhibition, a public exhibition that highlights just all this energy and all of this passion that you've shown so far today. So we want to talk about that, but before that, let's talk about some of the summer highlights, some of the things that led up to that art show, some of the programs and some of the exciting memories that you had.
I'll feel free to jump on in. There's literally so much that happens in the summer. And I do also want to take a small minute to note that we are no longer a boys and a girls program. Instead, we kind of got rid of those gender binaries and just mix everyone in together. Society is at a different place than it was about 20 years ago. And we like to acknowledge that and give the kids a good safe space to really be themselves, to interact with their peers, to make friends, that aren't exactly the same as them, and to embrace their differences. So you see a lot of this combining and fun and friendship in these next two slides. I don't know if Anna or Veronica want to jump in with any, special moments. I do have another slide after this one, so there's more photos for everyone to see.
Definitely. Wow, I love all of these photos. I smiled so big when you changed the slide, but we did a number of field trips. I know Veronica will probably talk about this, but her class went and saw Georgia O'Keeffe's home and studio in Abiquiu. A new field trip that we did this year for the returners was visiting Santa Fe Community College. During our visits, the participants got to participate in a printmaking class where they did one session did monotype printing, and the other two sessions did letterpress printing, and then all three sessions participated in a ceramics class. So we had Santa Fe Community College professors teaching our students, and this was really special because I think it's really important for all of these kids to know about the resources in their area. Santa Fe Community College has a beautiful campus with an excellent art department. I think Veronica and I were talking about how the art department at Santa Fe Community College was like blew our college art departments out of the water. Like fantastic. The professors were great, and just the facilities were amazing, and the kids had so much fun. And like I said, I just think it's really important for the kids to know what resources are out there for them. Santa Fe Community College offers what they call a master's program. I don't know much about it, but I know that it's for high school students. So the students can get college credit enrolling in classes at Santa Fe Community College. And they could be taking printmaking classes, ceramics classes, painting classes, and they can just use that resource to take art classes and make art. and just continue their artistic journey. We also took the kids to Ghost Ranch, and with my students, we did a guided hike and sketch. So we had a member of the Ghost Ranch staff guide us through where Georgia O'Keeffe once stepped, and we had them sketch. They did the Lavender Hills, Paternal, the like juniper trees. It was really cool to see the kids kind of be able to live almost through her in that way, by kind of exploring the landscapes that she portrayed in her paintings.
Yeah, and so in my session, we visited the home and studio, and that was a very, very amazing experience for the kids. It was so cool to see all of the kids, like really focus and like ask so many questions. They were so interested in what her life was like, where she did her art, what she did, and seeing her home, and like very simpleness, as it is now. For them it was like, well, how and why and where, and so they asked so many questions, and it was like a constant like question that was brought up. And then afterwards, we had some fun activities. We had lunch and everything out in the garden, outside of Ghost Ranch. And then we would do like water activities. We either had swimming, or we had what are they called? Like super soakers. And so they would be, running around, playing, jumping in the water. And it was really fun for them. And we also had like guest artists come and teach us in art class. So we did tie-dyeing, which is the bottom left corner. They did tie-dyeing, and they also did a ceramics project where they did what are they called? Mobiles. And they very much enjoyed both of those. Two groups did the tie-dyeing and one group did the ceramics.
It's so funny with the home and studio field trip, because some kids are so excited and some kids are like, when is lunch? When can we go to the pool? Or like, what even is this? Like, who's Georgia? And then even though we've explained it to them so many times, and then they come out from the house like, that was so neat. Like, I want to have a sleepover in there, throw a party. And they took so many pictures. And I just want to take a second also to thank the wonderful staff in our Abiquiu Welcome Center location, because they are so amazing. First of all, amazing tour guides, always meet the kids where they're at, show them around the house, include like fun stories, and just so talented. But also the staff in the Welcome Center itself, because we do come in and kind of take over the classroom. And, the kids are always crazy about the gift shop. So a big, big thank you to Justina and her wonderful staff up there at the Welcome Center.
That's great. Oh my goodness. And the joy in these photos is infectious. Like, you can't help but feel like I want to be in this program too, even though I'm not in middle school anymore. But yeah, so we do want to transition to the art shows that I mentioned a few minutes ago, where all of this ends up at this public exhibition. And so for the next maybe 5 minutes or so, Veronica and Anna, can you tell us about this culminating project, what it's like to do this, how much work goes into it, and what it's like to experience it at the end of a very full summer?
I don't know, start off. Yeah, we saw, what was it, 105 kids over the course of the summer. So as I'm sure, as you guys can imagine, that was a lot of cataloging. So each student would submit at least one piece of art to be exhibited at an end of the summer art show, which Santa Fe Community College graciously let us use their space to put up the exhibition in. But the entire art show exhibition installation journey was very much a journey. Like I said, seeing 105 kids and cataloging each and every piece of artwork they submitted to us was definitely a challenge, but thankfully we stayed organized. I guess a little walkthrough of kind of the process of it to what I remember is just throughout the entire summer, cataloging artwork that the kids would submit. And then once the Monday after the last week of kids rolled around, I guess step one was sorting out artwork, putting it in different categories and groups to exhibit, matting all of those pieces, putting them on the wall or arranging them the way we wanted to be put on the walls, printing out the labels, typing out the labels. The students made artist statements based on their artworks. So matching all of those with the correct artworks. And yeah, I guess that was the installation process. And then I guess I'll talk about the actual art show after I'll let Veronica speak.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it was also just kind of figuring out how these themes connected. Some students, we had a whole cat wall, which was a recurring theme. We had, you know, oceanscapes and landscapes and flowers and, you know, some like eerie sketches that were very surreal. There was so many different styles that kind of combined everything together. And so kind of putting all those pieces together, which are people who don't know each other, have never seen each other, and they're drawing and painting, you know, the same things and have the same ideas. And so it really shows kind of where these kids are and how they come to. It was also a really wonderful experience to see some of the kids where I thought, you know, they didn't really enjoy the program, or, you know, it was a little like they were very quiet, very shy. And then they come in with this like found confidence, and they have their parents behind them, and they're so excited to show their parents what their art is. And so I did have many students that I was like, okay, these students are really shy. They're very quiet, very like to themselves. And they come in, you know, their head held high. And they're, you know, asking questions. They're like, where's my art? I want to show my parents. And so I guide them to where their art is. And they're so excited, and they see how their art was presented on the walls. And, you know, they get so excited about really seeing their final projects and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that the kids' reactions when they came in and saw the exhibit were just amazing. I don't know. We had a lot of different areas on the top right picture. It shows like kind of our identity section. Just to kind of name the ones that are on the screen. I guess that's also in the top left photo. The bottom left was like our sketches kind of area, and then the bottom right were the oceanscapes. But yeah, Veronica is completely right. When the kids walked in and saw their artwork, they were just so excited. It was such a great end of the summer to see everyone come back together and to celebrate their talent, celebrate their artwork, because the reason that we have this program is the kids, and we could not have this program without them. So it was really amazing to celebrate them and all of their talents. I remember having an interaction with one specific student who was a returner. Last year, she couldn't make it to the art show, but this year she came. Her project was a dress that she sewed together, and she made it as kind of as a commentary to like body image. And it was just like a very profound piece, especially for like a 13-year-old student to make. It's amazing how like ahead of their time these kids are, and how hyper aware really they are of I don't know, all of these issues that we face. But when she walked in and saw all of her artwork on the wall, she came up to me and she was like, "I am so surprised to see all of my artwork hanging up. I'm so happy and just so thankful." And I don't know, it just made my day, because she was such a sweet student, and just the fact that she was surprised to see all of her artwork up. A lot of these kids tend to sell themselves short, but that's what we try and combat through art and leadership, and to kind of remind them that they are talented and they can use art as a tool to kind of to spread issues, especially like yeah, I don't know, the commentary on body image, really profound, and it was cool that she could share that through her art.
That is such a great example of a specific story. Thank you for sharing that and about this event, because I'm just a bystander. I have nothing to do with this program, but I've had the privilege of just watching some of these things happen, and to have a formal exhibition, but also an exhibition reception, a chance for people in this program to get together and, as you say, see their artwork on the wall in this professional gallery space. And it was a beautiful event. So kudos to all of you for putting on such a lovely thing for the parents and the children. So for the next maybe 5 minutes or so, let's circle back. Let's talk about why a program like this exists at the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. How do the philosophies associated with this program, the lessons, these threads that have woven it together throughout the years, tie back to the legacy of O'Keeffe and connects her to the story of continuing young artists in Santa Fe?
I can get us started really quickly, and then I'll hand it over to Veronica and Anna, because I know they have some specific examples and things to say. But Georgia O'Keeffe was an educator herself. She spent a lot of her early, teaching career, forging the path, but also showing other artists the way, and teaching them. So it's kind of taking on the mantle in that way, that we want to extend the same, courtesy and guidance to the youth in Santa Fe here now. So definitely highlighting her passion as an educator, but also the way she was a leader in her own right. It's literally why it's called art and leadership, because both aspects are taken from the legacy of O'Keeffe, but also who she was as a living person, like her ideals, even down to her art practice, the way she interacted with the community in Abiquiu, and the way she wanted her work to be seen and related to. So all of that comes together into art and leadership. But I'll turn it over to Anna and Veronica now. I know they have some things to say as well.
Yeah, thank you, Grace. Georgia O'Keeffe always talked about New Mexico having a sense of belonging, and how she really found that sense of belonging within New Mexico. Most of the kids that we taught were born and raised Santa Fe kids. They had grown up around all of this beautiful landscape that was so new and exciting to Georgia O'Keeffe. But I think that finding that sense of belonging within like a group of artists was something that I tried to really emphasize within the sessions. And I think that it is something that they definitely took away. Georgia O'Keeffe, of course, surrounded herself with artists. And I think it's really cool that the kids can kind of do the same by meeting others in the program and finding that sense of belonging. And Georgia O'Keeffe, from the conversations that I've had around the museum, it seems like she was very concerned with, I guess, with what the youth was up to. I think that she was really strong and passionate about wanting a good future for the youth. So I think that this program kind of reinforces that, and really serves her legacy in an accurate and correct and honorable light.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, our experience, I mean, as a Santa Fe local, it's, our experience is always kind of like around that Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. You always learn about Georgia O'Keeffe as a kid. In elementary school, you usually go to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. It's always there, but to really see what she was about is really important because it connects to things that you already knew about Georgia O'Keeffe. And then leadership as itself, I think it's also about kind of getting out of your comfort zone. And this program really gets you out of your comfort zone. I liked to shuffle my students all the time so that they were able to interact with new people that they didn't really see any connection with. It was a lot more difficult for some students to open up that door to meet the other students, but after a while, everybody kind of knew a little bit about each other and were comfortable with doing that. And I had some really great examples of really good leaders who kind of took charge and were really confident in saying, hey, if we don't participate in, shuffling every once in a while, we're never going to make any friends. And so those individual students made that whole process of shuffling kids around away from their previous known friends into new groups and knowing new people and being able to take charge. And yeah.
Thank you so much. And that is it's such a beautiful way to kind of wrap up your presentation, but something I do want to make sure that we highlight as we congratulate the both of you for completing such a full summer is how a program like this, just hearing the two of you talk, helps sustain your goals for folks who want to have careers in the arts. Both of you, Veronica, as someone who is a student, Anna, as an intern, both of you have assumed these roles of program lead, which has so much responsibility, so much just creativity and passion required by both of you to make this a success, alongside Grace. So congratulations to both of you. And is there anything that either of you would like to add about how a program like this helps set students and interns and program leads to explore arts as they turn the next pages in their chapters?
I would say I just thought of a conversation that I had with a parent after the art show on Friday, and it kind of just, I feel like, highlights and encompasses just the importance of the program in general. After speaking to a third year student's parents, they were talking to us about how this program has really changed their child and has really helped them find their place, I guess, within the world, and just has helped them within their personal growth journey. So I think that although this is, a summer program, something that happens once a year, that the kids attend once a year for 3 years, I think that the way that the O'Keeffe teaches and just the objectives within the program are really they really reach across. They really get across to the kids, and I think that it's very profound, and it goes to show that what we're doing is really it's changing them, and for the better, and it's helping kids find themselves and find their confidence, which is really important, especially at the middle school age.
Thank you so much. Veronica, did you have anything to add?
No, I did see a question that was asking about the art show. And so it is open at the community college currently. So they're open from 9 to 5, I believe.
Great, and that runs through the 22nd of August, is that the right
Yes.
date? So
Mhm.
folks in the area, you can go and see this for yourself. And I see that we do have a question. Yeah, we'll transition to questions real quick. We have time for a few. About the zine. So you mentioned the zine slash yearbook kind of pulls everything together. Maybe this is a bit of a logistical question, but is there a way we can share that material with folks who don't live in Santa Fe? I don't know. This is a brainstorming question.
This has been since the zine is new. The program used to do a chapbook that was poetry, and when I started in 2021, the interns at the time, I have to give them credit to, I believe, Hannah, Ime, and Laura. Shout out. They were like, "Why don't we make a zine? You know, we can take pictures and it'll be really fun." So since then, I've been trying to figure out a way to work with our website developers to get that on there in digitally. So the short answer right now is that it's not currently up. The longer answer is that we want to have it there as a way maybe people can download it. But we also just have to think about the zine includes a lot of the kids' information and images. So we want to protect them a little bit in terms of allowing that to be public knowledge. So maybe that eventually we have select pages that we have up for public viewing.
That makes total sense. And it's great that this is something that bloomed from the idea of interns. How amazing that it's still going. Okay, we have time for one quick question from Ryan. Ryan asks, maybe each of you, Anna and Veronica, can give an example of why you chose art. You know, you mentioned using Georgia O'Keeffe as examples in teaching, but you also mentioned Basquiat and you mentioned Keith Haring. Why did you choose some of these other artists? What gave you the inspiration to use them as lesson plans?
I think that just showing how, I don't know, I chose Keith Haring because he was very he did a lot of street art, and I think that the idea of making art accessible to everyone and not just having it being shown in galleries and museums is really important for the kids to understand, and how just because your art isn't in a museum or a gallery doesn't mean that it's not art. Yeah, they really enjoyed the Keith Haring lesson. And then the Banksy lesson, I really wanted to show them to use like how they can use art to like spread awareness on like maybe issues in the world that they're passionate about. And also that Banksy is completely anonymous. I don't know, that was really cool too. I think that just showing I think it's very important to show like a diverse group of artists. And I think that's kind of what was playing through my head when I was choosing these artists. I wanted to choose artists that were very different from each other. I taught about Artemisia Gentileschi, who is vastly different than Banksy and Keith Haring. Yeah, I think showing them a diverse group of artists who make art for a diverse number of reasons.
I took a little bit of a different approach. I kind of took our social media kind of to be my inspiration, because kids are, already so ingrained in social media that it's a really good way to highlight the positives of that social media. And so I took some social media artists and kind of presented what they could accomplish if they wanted to go the route of social media in art. And so I did, some YouTube artists. So like drawing with waffles. That's a like really creative way to like express your art with different varieties of art. I also did some like performance artists that I showed them. I did, many different styles and some classes I did one artist and not the other. I just kind of read my students a little bit and kind of opted out of some specific artists that I didn't think that they would be really interested in. And so I had, it just depended on my class and kind of what they leaned more towards. I had students that were more into like realism. And then I had some that were really into like abstract art, and some that were really interested in painting. So I kind of like varied a little bit in my art selection or artist selection.
That's great. It's great to hear a little bit behind your processes for what inspired you, in addition to all the amazing other details that you shared. And we are right at 10 o'clock, perfect timing. So I like to close these conversations by sharing a remark from our Q&A. I want to share something very kind from Carolyn to share with Anna and Veronica and Grace. She says, "I'm so impressed with how much responsibility, trust, and support the interns and program leads have. I absolutely love the way the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum empowers its interns and program leads. Listening to them as describing their personal experiences, challenges, and learning the activities and the respect for their students. So young in their careers and lives, yet so professional. Thank you all." That just seems like the perfect way to end today's conversation. And I will just add to Carolyn's extremely sweet remark to say thank you to all three of you for your time this morning, for all this incredible information, and to give you one last opportunity to share anything you'd like before we close out.
I'd just like to thank you, Molly, and thank you, Grace and Veronica, and thank you, Carolyn, and thank you to everyone who's watching. It's really been a pleasure to be here and to be able to share information about this amazing program.
Yeah, and I just want to say, it's never too late to be a kid again. I learned very, very quickly that you need to be a kid when you want to have fun and experience new things and relearn things. You have to take your mind back into being a kid. So thank you all. This was a really wonderful experience.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Veronica and Anna. And thanks to everyone who joined us this morning. We look forward to seeing you at the next Mornings with O'Keeffe program. But in the meantime, please feel free to do more reading about this exhibition. If you're in town, please come check it out. You will not be disappointed. But with that, we will say goodbye and have a great rest of your day.
Bye.